Hello, everyone. Welcome to AWS Workshop, Serverless Patterns. My name is Ivan, and I'm working at Epam with the title of Lead Systems Engineer. And please tell me if everything is okay. You're hearing me well. While you're typing in the chat, let me share with you a link to our workshop. Here it is. So you can follow this link and join pre-configured AWS account just for you for this workshop. Please click on the email one-time password and enter the email you used for registering on Google Forms previously. When you do so, please let me know so I will understand that we can start. Meanwhile, let me tell you a couple of words about the workshop itself. What we are going to do today. So let me switch to my screen. And here it is. So we are going to try on a hat of a developer for a delivery service. We're going to implement a backend for service that will connect our lovely users to nearby restaurants. We will try to implement the several features for us, allowing our users to register, place order, edit order, and delete it. This workshop is quite big, and I hope we will able to pass at least a couple of sections. But there will be more, and you can proceed after this event is finished with your account, because everything will be in IAC. We will use a couple of instruments like CDK and AWS SAM. But firstly, this workshop, in this workshop, there will be a lot of work with code. So for this, each of your account has deployed VS Code server. And to open it, you can use the link on the main page of your workshop. At the bottom, you will see event outputs with VS Code server URL and VS Code server password. Please follow the link and enter your environment. It will be required in the second and third section of this workshop. So let's dive into the models. What we are going to do here. First model will be focused on implementing the crucial first things. We will touch the REST API baked by API Gateway, a Lambda function with some permissions policies with IAM. Do you see my screen? Okay, let me. Oh, I see. Nothing. Why? Okay, sorry. It's technical problems. Okay. It's good. Isn't it laggy a bit, or everything is okay now? Let me try to share it at the stage, and always something happens. That's okay. Okay. Great. Let me answer a couple of questions from the chat. First, registration unfortunately was closed early today, so unfortunately I cannot add any more people. But you can always pass this workshop with your account. Everything will be a little bit changed because you need to configure the environment by your own. But the rest is completely possible, so feel free to use your own account. What is the event access code? Event access code, let me share it in the chat. This should be it. Okay. Are there anyone who actually could join the workshop and access the console? Roma, try to use the URL in incognito mode. Probably it will be better, and it will start. It will allow you to access. Okay. hopefully an access code is the number. Okay, passcode is the one that you should get from the email. So first of all, click on the email one-time password and then enter the you had to okay, I didn't say it. There was a registration form beforehand in Google Forms, and if you didn't register, then unfortunately you won't be able to use this link. But you can always pass this workshop with your account. Okay. Yeah. Also, I should tell you that not a lot of accounts are actually deployed. So probably there isn't enough accounts for everyone. We are a little bit limited on the amount of accounts, and I see a lot of people here, so probably not everyone. Oh, Bernard, thank you. It's awesome. I hope somebody also could really join the link. Yeah, Jane, sorry for this, but registration is over. Okay, I see someone succeeded with joining the link. So hopefully everyone who could joined. And let me start with the Model 1 explanation. So in the Model 1, we will create a first API function for our service. It will allow users to create themselves, and we will use API Gateway, Lambda, and DynamoDB, which is a scalable document database. I think the next model is the second one, where we will use the CDK. Ellen, I think, unfortunately, I can't say why it is so. Probably there are already a lot of people who joined the workshop, so you unfortunately didn't get account, or you could make a typo in the email or something. Now I can't say what's wrong. The access code is this one. Oh, sorry. This one. Let me actually say this. This. Move. Okay. Okay. The second model is about registering our users and providing our users a possibility to place an order and for admins to edit the users. Oh, no, not place order, but create users and edit them. We also will add the authorizer function that will work with our user pool to check if the user is authorized to do some actions in our users table. For example, we don't want the simple users to delete our other users. So only admins will be able to do this. This model provide a lot of possibilities to pass it. Like you see that there are options with SAM, CDK, and Terraform. I will go with CDK for the model too. You can use anything you want, and please ask questions if you have some, or you will have. And the third model that I hope to pass on the event is the model 3. Here we will add multiple Lambda functions to actually work with orders, and also add a crucial thing called idempotence. I will explain more when we reach the Model 3. If we reach, I hope we will reach. And that's it. I hope everyone who could joined. And we will start from the first model. Okay. What we will build. The first thing I think we need to see the architecture as I described before. We will use the API gateway for the entry point for our application, or backend for application, and connect it to the Lambda function that will go to DynamoDB table and perform some actions with it. So let's start with it. We are starting with DynamoDB, and the first workshop we will pass specifically in the console without a lot of code. So I will go to DynamoDB console. And here is my console. If you don't know where to find it, please click on the menu, and on the bottom you will see Open AWS console. And please double check your region on the top right corner. It should be the same as in the workshop. So here's US West 2, and here is US West 2. That's good. Going to DynamoDB. Click. And what we want to do here is we want to create a table. So I'm going to Tables in the menu and click on Create Table. The name is provided, Serverless Workshop Intro. Partition key ID and type string. Partition key is something like primary key in relation database. So it will be used for finding our data. It will be unique. It should be unique, and it will be used in different sources and everything else. So next, so requires login information. Andre, unfortunately, I don't understand what you mean. Probably you didn't log in with this link. Please copy this link and open it in the incognito mode. Then you will proceed to console login and everything will be accessible. So I closed my tab with DynamoDB. So I will repeat these steps. Create table, name Serverless Workshop, ID, and the rest is default. The table is being created. Then we are waiting for it. So while we're waiting, it's quite fast. Okay, since it's created, I go to it and we'll see that item count is 0. Then we are going to explore the items. On the left menu, just click into explore items and create item on the bottom. ID, enter 1. Entering 1, create item. I didn't choose anything for tables because we have only one table and it's already selected. And I forgot to add attribute. So I'm fixing this with new attribute string, attribute name, and for value, my name is 1. Save and close. Okay. The next step will be creating the Lambda function. So I'm going to Lambda, searching for it in the top search bar, and going to the Lambda. Okay, I see 2 functions, but I don't need them. So creating the function from scratch, first function, and runtime is Python 3.10. It's important to use the right runtimes because some functions are not compatible with different runtimes, and also different runtimes have different included packages to Lambda function. So please be careful with it. And I create the function. So the first function already has something inside, and it is the first code you will see in the Lambda. So it's not a lot. It just responds with hello from Lambda and starts code 200. We created it. Let's test it. So I choose test. And now it asks me to create a new test event. I'm clicking the new test event. I won't change anything. I don't want to save this event. So I'm clicking to invoke. And everything's working. 100, hello from Lambda. That's cool. But is it actually working? Hello from AWS Workshop. Now I have undeployed changes. So deploy. And test again. Yep, it's working. Let's go further in the workshop. Here they explain what is going in the logs. So this important information lines, but not really important for us now. So this is technical information about the run for this function, like how much memory, the duration, and everything else. Also, there will be logs. If you add them, there will be here. So it's really important window. Okay, let's copy and paste the new code. And what changed? So we are adding the line item with some information in dictionary. And we're expecting this information from Lambda when we will start this function. So let's deploy these changes, clicking to deploy. Every time you change something in the code, it will be saved, but won't be deployed. So you need to deploy first and then test. So starting the test, and we will see the output. Here it is. Yep, as expected. And this is it for the first step. I hope everyone could actually pass it. Could you tell me if you actually see what's going on the screen? And while you type in something, I'm going to the second phase of the first model. Oh, great, great. Yeah, thank you, thank you. So the second step is to add Lambda function. So we are going to Lambda functions again, and nice. Create function. It will be called M1 add sample data, and use the same Python runtime. So it was Python 3.10. That's good. Create function, and starting with code. Let me copy and paste the code and deploy it. While it's deploying, let's take a look what's changed. So get a couple of users and creating the DynamoDB table. DynamoDB instance, sorry. Then we sending the items one by one to the table. So we are expecting that this our table will have some entries. So let's test it. Clicking test, I've already deployed the changes and invoke. That's great. The function says that it's not authorized to perform these actions. Just from event, how we code. The event will be used further, but to answer the question, each event has its own representation, and for some events we have a field like data or something else, and you can see in the test section here the template, and you can see a lot of templates from different services. And for example, we will use gateway, not this one, but REST API. But to tell you how this works, you see this is the body and parameters, and everything from this request you will be able to use in the Lambda function. So you will see the request, and you can work with this request, for example, with JSON format. But let's return to our test, which says that access denied. So it means that our Lambda function doesn't have needed permissions. And we have to add these permissions to the Lambda function. So we're going to configuration and permissions. Let's see, where is the role? No, here it is. So on the top of the permissions tab, we can see the role name, execution role. So we can click, and this click will lead us to IAM, where we can add some permissions that we want to add. Attach policies, and Amazon DynamoDB full access. So just copy this policy, and we want this policy, add permission. In the real world, we will add custom permissions with actual resource name with a limited amount of permissions. But for this workshop, for the means of simplification, let's use this white access. And let's try to test again. Yeah, that's worked. 3 people to Serverless Workshop intro. Let's see them. Then I'm going to DynamoDB. Then explore items. Click on our table. And as you see, we have 3 new entries with full names defined in the Lambda function and new user ID. And yes, since we use full name attribute in Lambda, and we previously added the entry with an attribute name, now we see that every entry has the full name, and user ID. So it's how it works. Okay, next. Now we want to create an actual Lambda function that will get the results, the users from DynamoDB table, and return them. That's it. So let me go to Lambda again. And create a new function called get users. Python 3.10 and create function. While it's creating, have you succeeded with adding the entries to DynamoDB with previous function, or met any problems with it? I see yes. That's great. Nice. Yeah, you're awesome. You're just awesome. Thank you. So let's go continue with get users and paste the new code, which will basically just scan our DynamoDB table and return all the items it will find. Let's deploy. Then again, in configuration permissions, go to role name, IAM, add permissions, attach, and now we will attach read-only access. And so on DynamoDB, read-only access, add permissions. Great. Returning to Lambda. And since code just been deployed, Let's test it. Nice. As you see, we got all the 4 entries, and that's what we are expecting from it. Okay. We are reaching our entry point, our API gateway. So we created the Lambda function, and we need to connect it to the wider world. Let's go to API gateway. Okay, clicking on it. And create API. We will use the REST API in this workshop in all the models. So we will start with building it. For the name, I will use the name provided, Serverless REST, and keep the default endpoint type of region. Okay, create API. That's fast, but the first Alan, regarding the code I'm copying, it's always in the workshop. So you see we are now in the M1, page 3. And let me share the link to the workshop. It can be found in the description, but here it is. It is the link for people who didn't register or didn't get the account, so please feel free to use it. Everything from this workshop is also there, so you can go with it for your account. Okay. So yeah, please use the copy from the workshop pages. It will be faster, but don't forget to understand this code. So we are creating a REST API. And first we will create the resource called users. So I'm going to resources, create resource, and type users. Nothing else, just users. And create resource. For this resource, we're creating the method. this is it, and method type get. We will connect it to our Lambda function, and it is get users. And this is everything we needed. So the rest is default settings and create method. Now everything is set up, so let's deploy or not. Let's try to test it. Yeah, there is a possibility to test this function, this route. If you see the tabs here on the right side, you can scroll them to the end and go to test. And since we don't need any query strings, any headers, just click test, and you see everything is working. Execution route and the policy, and to grant the function with only access. Okay, let me show you once again. In the Lambda function, when you see these tabs, code, test, monitor, configuration, aliases, you can go to configuration panel and then to permissions. Here you will see the execution role and the role name. The role name is exactly what was created for this function. And when we click on it, we'll see the IAM role itself with the permissions policies. And to add any permission, we just click add permissions and attach policies. Then in the search bar, we'll see DynamoDB, and you will see read-only access. It's not shown there here because it's already been assigned. So you will see it and just click and add permission. Everything should work. Great. So returning to API gateway. Hopefully you didn't get any errors when you click test. Otherwise, please tell me, so we will be able to somehow fix it. And since we tested it, let's deploy this thing. Choose a stage. We don't have stages. Stages are different entities for different API sets, like versions or anything else. So we are creating the V1 stage and deploy. Okay, let's add the description. So we'll be sure what we are doing here. And deploy. Thank you for the question. I'm glad to answer. And let's try to invoke this. To find the URL, you can go to stages, and on the right side, find invoke URL. It will lead us to our stage URL, which will actually do nothing for us because we didn't assign anything to our root path. But let's try. Let's try. I'm going to environment. Hopefully you could get it and could enter it. If you don't remember how to find it, please go to the menu and click on the Serverless Patterns workshop. You'll be led to the initial outputs and find the output for VS Code Server. There, enter the VS Code Server password, and you'll see the same picture. I was going to check our gateway. Let's call it missing authentication token. Expected. It's expected because, as I said, we don't have anything for root. So let's try to invoke the users. And here it is. What we want. We got it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Everything is working. I'm using JQ. You can use everything you want. So it is working as expected. So go next. And this is it for the first model. I hope you all could finish it. So we are ready to go further. If you have any questions, please ask me so we can I can answer or try to answer. So we are going further. This is the not obligatory but good stage. We're going to delete everything that we created because we will create everything we need in the next model with actual IAC. So start with the APIs. From API gateway will be deleted soon. Okay. It's taking more than I thought. Let's go to other services while it's deleting everything. And try to test get user lambda function test even, but I can't find it. Steps probably English. I hope I pronounce it correctly. Please try again because I'm not sure I understand what even. I understand. I see. When you click on test, it's asking for an event. Just click create new event and invoke, and then everything will be fine. Regarding the event outputs, if you are working with our workshop with the pre-configured account, then it will be on the starting page on the bottom. These event outputs will have VS Code server and the password for it. So it's a menu on the top, headline serverless patterns, and in the bottom. And I'm going to clean up the functions, all the functions that we don't need. Confirm. Let's try to do it again. Okay, successfully delete. And I'm going to DynamoDB. DynamoDB. Tables, this one, and I don't need it anymore. I don't need the backup. This is it. And the last thing is IAM. Okay. I think this one's get users and one, and that's it. Delete. Okay, that's it. Next, and we are reaching the second model. In this model, we will create the function for management, for user management, and this function will need permissions, and for this we will use a Lambda authorizer function. And for user storage and creation and everything for users, we will use Cognito. This model is provided by multiple technologies. So I will use CDK plus TypeScript because in the next model we have SAM plus Python, so we will see both of them at least. And let's go to the second model. Okay, this I will click on CDK plus TypeScript and start with it. So what is CDK? CDK is a tool for infrastructure as code. It can be used with a wide range of different languages. Here we will use TypeScript, but also it's available in Python, Java, C#, and I believe something else as well. What it does, it has library with a lot of functions and classes and objects and everything. You can use your general purpose language to create resources, and then with the help of CDK to convert these resources into CloudFormation templates. And then with these CloudFormation templates, CDK will deploy the actual infrastructure. So to be clear, everything you write in the CDK will be converted to CloudFormation templates and then be applied. Be careful with it because sometimes you want to implement something for incremental change in the infrastructure, and this will be a bit different with CDK, I will say. And let's start with setting up the environment. So I will need our VS Code and copy and paste these comments. So then we will unzip the code and go to this folder. Everything is working. So let's see what we have here. If you done everything correctly, then you will see a couple of folders, and couple of files as well. Let's briefly talk about them. So bin is the entry point for CDK. You can see the entry point as well in the CDK JSON. So here is our configuration for it. In the bin, you will define the stacks. Stack is the minimal deployment unit, and an app. App is the set of the stacks. Then events, they will be used for Lambda functions. Library is where the stacks reside in. Then src for our API for our Lambda functions. Tests, exactly for tests. And CDK JSON is the configuration for CDK. So we are defining the behavior of CDK here. Then jest config is used for tests because we use jest here. Package JSON is the node specific things for dependencies, for everything that's needed. README is understandable, and sysconfig for Lambda functions, and for CDK as well, because we use TypeScript. So this is briefly talk about this, and we want to install all the dependencies. So copy and paste install and install everything. Then npx CDK bootstrap. So this CDK bootstrap will deploy everything needed for deploying everything for deploying the CDK resources. So it will configure some parameters like CDK version. It will help to maintain the stacks. And as you see, when you will start the bootstrap or any CDK related commands, you can see this big warning. It's okay. It just says that CDK is working greatly with some versions of Node.js, but the higher versions are also working, but not tested as good as these ones. So the CDK has been deployed, and we continue. And starting from the start, I'm going to create the DynamoDB table. So I'm going to lib and AWS Serverless Patterns stack. There's not much here. So this is the stack with the resources. And now you see there are no resources here, but we want some. and we want user stable. So I'm copying. As you see, it's already saved. It's the feature of this VS Code server. And let's try to synthesize the CloudFormation templates. As you remember, CDK first creating the CloudFormation templates and then deploy them. So as you see, it's created a resource, user stable, and this is it. CDK metadata is something for CDK to be operational. And we see outputs, user stable, with the ref of user stable. It will include in outputs the value of the this construct. So it will be the name of our user stable. And conditions are not interesting at this point. So we can proceed to deployment. Copy in CDK deploy. And while it's deploying, let's take a brief look to the code. So it's creating DynamoDB table with an ID user stable and with the table name, stack name, users. That's good. We see the partition key is user ID and billing mode pay per request. There are two types of billing mode. Is pre-configured when we are setting up the amount of resources for this DynamoDB table, and it will cost all the time the same amount. Or we can say that we will pay for just usage of it, so we pay per request. And if you finished with the deployment, you will see something like this. So it's finished with AWS Serverless Patterns stack and an output. User stable, as you see, it's changed stack name to AWS Serverless Patterns and added users. Let's see the same thing in the AWS console. So I'm going to DynamoDB table, tables, sorry. And as you see, AWS Serverless Patterns users has been created with the partition key, user ID, type string, as we wanted. So everything is okay. Let me acknowledge this thing. Okay. And this as well. Okay. We deployed the DynamoDB table and we see the outputs. So let's continue with the business logic. So we are going to add a Lambda function with starting from CDK. So I'm copying the updated CDK stack and pasting it to the AWS Serverless Patterns stack. This is it. And what's changed? We added the Node.js function with an entry point of src API users index.ts. Let's see what is there. Now it's just hello world function. No. And let's try to deploy this. I think okay. Yep. So now what happened? When I typed CDK deploy, CDK figured out that we will add some permissions for IAM. We will add roles, and CDK now is asking me if I'm really if I really want to deploy these changes. So I am quite sure I want to do this. So I'm typing yes and enter. It will ask you about this every time when you are changing the IAM. If you want to skip this phase, you can add a flag, approve never, or something like this. I will type yes every time, so we will see what the changes led to this question. So let's see what's in the Lambda function. I will go to src API. Thank you, Bernard, for being with us. I will open src API users index.ts. And paste the new code for Lambda. I think Taiwo, have you seen the output after CDK deploy? I think there can be a problem with it if there is a difference between regions. So please check the AWS, type something like env grep AWS to see the default region. It should be the same as your account. And in the console, please double check your region. It should be, everything should be the same. If somewhere it's not the same, please stick to the one you have in the workshop. So you will have everything in one region and you won't be breaking any rules with the account. So yeah. Meanwhile, now we deployed the previous iteration of Lambda function with the name. Which name we used? We didn't use any names. So it should be something like a user's function with something. So let me update. And yes, as you see here, the function name, and you see that user's function is has the name without this siphon. It's because the logical ID can't have these dashes, so it just removes every single character in the name and creates the function with name like this. But it's deployed and everything is okay. And I've already updated the index.ts Lambda function. So let's see what changed here. And while we are looking on it, let's install everything from users. And also the dependencies. I'm not sure why these dependencies were not included, but that's okay. That's fine. Okay, we need this. And why we're doing this? Let's type deploy and talk about this dependencies. So when CDK deploys something with TypeScript, it will use, by default, it will use ESBuild that will embed all the dependencies in one file to create a JavaScript file for the compatibility with Lambda Node.js runtime. And for this thing, you will need all the dependencies already in your environment. So the CDK will be able to call the ESBuild that will be able to find these dependencies and compose the JavaScript file for the Lambda function. Okay, it looks like it's deployed, and we didn't see what changed. Briefly, what is here is different calls for our Lambda function. So our Lambda function will be responsible for all the operations for users management. So it will create user, delete user, get users, update user, and also unsupport root. Yeah. And this all things will come from API gateway. So we have here API gateway event that I've already briefly showed you in the functions. But as you see, we can take here HTTP method and resource that will be used to understand what we are going to do with this Lambda function. And yes, a lot of functions to support this. Let's see the Lambda function itself. And what's inside. As you remember, this is a generated file by isBuild or not. So on the bottom, you'll see your code. And it looks like everything is working. So we can try to test it, but not now. This is the explanation of the code. If you are interested, please read it through. It's a lot of information, but they really explain what is going on in this code, line by line, just everything as you want, if you want to understand deeply what is in these functions. And oh yeah, let's see what I was telling you about CloudFormation. As you remember, thank you, Granglish, for being with us. As you remember, we had the stack called AWS Serverless Patterns. And we had it in the bin with this creation of the class. This ID is the name of the stack. And in CloudFormation, we have the stack with this name. So I'm clicking on it, and in outputs, we see the outputs that we defined in the code. And for resources, these are our resources, the users function and the table. Everything is clickable, so you can see what's where. Okay, next. Let's try to, let's try to test our Lambda function and test it with local invocation and remote, I think. So let's synth first. Oh yeah, I think, yeah, people starting to leave us. So let me briefly share the link for the feedback form, so you can tell us what you liked and what not. If you're departing soon. So this is feedback. Okay, it's now in pinned messages, so if you like, please follow the link to leave us feedback. Okay, and I'm continuing with CDK synth. Should synthesize everything that will be created with our CDK. And as you see, the resources updated with the Lambda function, this one, and service role, which is needed for getting any information from DynamoDB. Okay, let's continue with our test, which should be in the next several steps. So first, we are creating the nth JSON in the root. And adding the logic ID from the generated CloudFormation template. Logical ID can be found in the CloudFormation. So you can go to CloudFormation, click on the stack. For us will be AWS Serverless Patterns stack. And go to resources. Then you will see logical ID when you unroll everything, unfold everything. So for the users function, we'll have this one. You will probably have other variable part. And this will be like this. And users table will be this one, AWS Serverless Patterns users called. You can find in the outputs for CloudFormation here, or just in the DynamoDB table. Okay, and JSON is here, and let's find an event that we will use. As you remember, the events folder is for the events that we will use for our Lambda function. And let's see what post is. So you see there are a lot of different fields. And the interesting one is body, is the one that will help our Lambda function to create a new user. So let's try to invoke our Lambda function. It's local invoke. It will start the Lambda function on your environment and connect it to AWS services. So this local invoke doesn't create the Lambda function on the AWS, but it will connect everything to AWS services. So let's start. Oh yeah, sure. I created the mjson not in the place where I wanted to. So it should be just near cdk.json or in the folder AWS Serverless Patterns. Trying again. And it started building image, and then we'll send a request to it. Yeah, as you see, status code 201, headers application JSON, and body. That's what our Lambda function responded with. Let's see. Oh yeah, we create this locally. So you see that local invoke created the image, started the image, and sent a request with an event that we have in events to this Lambda. This Lambda went to DynamoDB and created the entry. Let's actually see this entry in DynamoDB. Tables, explore items, this one. And as you see, John Doe that we just created is here. Great, great. I hope you succeed with this too. So let's go further. And we are reaching the third part of the second model is the REST API. Let's start with the API. And I copy the updated stack and pasting it to the stack. Let's see what's changed. And as I remember, the last thing was users function. So we are creating the REST API. As you remember, it's a type of API gateway, and create with the stage name called prod. Then we add the resource called users, and that get and post to these users. And we then add the additional resource in curly brackets user ID. This resource is actually the resource for all user IDs that you can imagine. So this user ID will be taken from the path and put to the event, and then passed to the Lambda function. So the let's deploy this thing. Okay, a lot of things, a lot of changes, and we want all of them. So what happened? We need to allow our API gateway to call our users function. For all the resources, for all the methods, we have to add this thing. And CDK has it for us. So is it awesome? I think yes. And it's deployed. Great. When the deployment is finished, you will see the outputs. And we will need users API endpoint. I will export it in API endpoint. And I will use API endpoint. Don't forget it, just for future simplification. So let's try to invoke our API endpoint users. And yeah, John Doe is here. If you didn't test the previous stage, then you will see the empty array. Let's go. Create users pool. Okay, then we are creating the user pool in Cognito. It's great IDP for many different purposes. We will use it for registering our users and adding the actual checking of these users' permissions. So first, we are adding the Cognito. Copy and paste. So what happened here? Let me cdk deploy and see what changed. So we added the user pool with auto verify by email. Email is required, full name is required. Everything is mutable, so we will be able to change everything here. Then CFN parameter is one thing that will be needed for our CDK deployment. It now has the default parameter with API admins, but for its change, we won't need to change the code. We will need only to set up this parameter in the command line. Actually, these parameters are not recommended by AWS for usage. They don't recommend to have a variable part in your IEC, and it's understandable because this parameter will be in your CloudFormation, and you won't be able to understand what actual deployment has happened. And this is kind of different things. You can add this parameter and create flexibility, and you can ignore existence of these parameters and have actual good templates, and every time you will understand what has been deployed. So yeah, we deployed the Cognito. And you will see in the outputs, you'll see Cognito auth command, but we need Cognito login URL. So let's go to this URL. Let me let me create the URL of the inbox. This one, and I need to sign up. Let's sign up and password. Okay, verification code. Yep, got it. Confirm account. Yeah, it redirected to localhost, it's fine. We just need front end for this, but we don't have it, so let's not stick to it. But yes, everything is created. So let me try to create an authentication. Okay, this one, username is this one. Yep, here are our tokens. We will need ID token, so I will export it in ID token variable. I will use the JQ to take this parameter out of the response. You can use anything you want. Application result. Okay, let's check that it's working. Yep, looks like it. Oh yeah, won't work like this. I forgot -r. Yeah, this is better. So what we did here, I initiated the authentication with Cognito and got the ID token from the response. It's a simple JWT token with the information about my account that I've just created. And that's it. That's for Cognito. And let's create the authorizer function. What is the authorizer function? API Gateway has different options for creating the authorization. One of them is the Lambda authorizer. It is the process, the flow when your request to API Gateway is being intercepted by Lambda authorizer. The Lambda authorizer will check the request for copy the last comment. Sure, you can copy it from your outputs. As you see in outputs, you will see Cognito auth command. And with this auth command, you will need to change the username and the password. And that's it. Thank you, Irina, for being with us. It's done. About the next one. The next one is the same. I just added this thing. Let me share with you. So it's one line. Okay, where was I? So authentication for API gateway. So Lambda authorizer will check the request by its logic with this Lambda function that we will use. Let me copy it and paste to the authorizer. Yeah, with this function, we will check the authorization header for existence of this JWT token. And when this token is good, is actually issued by us and is not expired, and everything is okay, and this token has the needed parameters like admin group or anything else, it will be passed. But if it's not, the Lambda authorizer will return 403, and this authorization required or unauthorized request response will be sent to the client. Here it is. Let's install the dependencies for authorizer. Yep. Done. And let's update our CDK stack. So we need to add our authorizer to our stack. What's happened? As you see, we now have another resource called token authorizer with the authorizer function, which is just Node.js function with from JS file, handler. So everything as with the previous function. And this authorizer is used for REST API gateway now. So we have an authorizer here. So let's go back and deploy. CDK deploy. Yep. while it's deploying, please tell me if you could proceed with everything, if Cognito is working for you, or you have any problems with this. Are you actually with us on 3.2 page, or you already finished all the workshop, or you slightly behind? I see. So everything is working. No questions. It's a bit strange, but see, a lot of really strong people here. I'm glad. I'm glad everything is working out for you. Okay, it's deployed. So it is deployed, and we can proceed to the next step, which is on there. Okay, we'll slow down a bit. So we are on verify authorization, and let me tell you, Andrei, what's the problem. The problem, I think, with me sending the double vertical lines instead of one. So it should be like this. One moment. So it's Cognito IDP initiate this. I hope this will fix the problem. But Andrei, if you still don't see, if you still see the JSON, please tell me. And Yulia, where are you? Can I help somehow? Thank you, Andrei, for the questions. Okay. Let me try to see what's on our users. As you remember, I put the output of API endpoint to the variable of API endpoint. So this should be working. As you see, we have message unauthorized. That means that this Lambda function actually worked because we have the association with users get, but we don't have a response for these users. So what we are going to do? So this part is already done. We got the ID token, and we can go with this curl. Once again, curl API endpoint / users, and we are adding the header authorization with our ID token. Try. New message. User is not authorized to access this resource. Why is it so? It is so because our user that we just created doesn't have permissions to see all the users in our database. Our user has permissions only to get the data about this user, not about everyone. So let's find the user ID. And for this, I will go to DynamoDB. Once again, DynamoDB, in search, go to DynamoDB, explore items, check the table, and see user ID. I see. We don't have our users. I forgot. We just registered. So we don't have this user at all. So we can go to Cognito. Let me go to Cognito. User pools. I will go to our user pool. Then users. And as you see, we have our user. I will copy this user. And once again, try to curl, but with user ID. And yes, everything's returned. It's just nothing. We don't have this user in DynamoDB table, so nothing is here. So let's just get the data for it. have you found the your user and could get nothing from DynamoDB table? Yes. Nice. That's great. Let's actually add the information. So this information is added by put command. Will put. I'll change the quotes to double quotes to use API endpoint. And sub value is our user ID. Copy and user ID. And my name is still Ivan. ID token and application JSON. Copy, paste, enter. Yep. It returned actual entry from the database. And let's check again. Yep. Now the database has my name is Ivan and user ID with our user ID from Cognito and timestamp. That's cool. So we now have one user in our database. Have you succeeded with it, or is something still bothering? Okay, we added the user, and now let's add this user permissions. We have one group, as I remember, API admins, and this group is for API administrators. So we want to make our user that we just created an administrator. So I'm still in Amazon Cognito. I will go to my user pool and in the users, click on user and add user to a group. This one single group name and add. That's it. Everything is added. That's cool. Let's try to get all users since we are admins here. Okay. API endpoint / users -h authorization ID token. Curl user is not authorized to access this resource. Why it is so? It's simply because our user does have new rights, new permissions, but since we are using the old token doesn't have these permissions. And if you print the ID token and go to, for example, JWT.io to see what's going on in this token, you will see that this token doesn't have group admins. And let's get the token and try to get the information. Yep, everything is working. And why it is so? It is because the new token that we just created again with the same command with the Cognito auth, we now have Cognito groups. As you see, the new token has one new field here called Cognito groups that we just added. And this Cognito groups has the API admins that we need. And because of this, we now can actually retrieve this information. Yeah, sure. So when we added the group, as you remember, user pools, then the user pool, users, click on your user, scroll down to the group membership and add user to a group. Then you export, you change the ID token to the new one. With the same command you got the previous token. Ilya, I think if you remove the last slash after users, it will be okay. Probably. I'm not sure. So you create the new token with the same command, and then after regeneration of the token, it should be okay. That didn't help. It looks like something wrong with the Lambda, or I'm not sure. Probably I would suggest you go with the last step with CDK redeployment and with Lambda authorizer. Ilya, and redeploy this. Probably something is missed from the code. Or ID token 2 can be something else, not what you're thinking. Yeah. Yeah, Taiwo, the thing is, double quotes accept the variables, and single quotes do not. So, as you see. Okay. You okay. We updated everything, and now let's test. Let's see what test look like for the Lambda functions. Okay, let's copy the jest config. Now, and also update the package JSON. So I'm going to package JSON, find the test. Test will be in scripts. And I'm just replacing this test. Then let's change the API users test, not src, but test unit and user tests. Okay. Sorry. And let's try to test this. And well, what is it? What this what this test do? So this test working with Lambda functions. They mock the DynamoDB client. This mock is provided by AWS, and I think all the services can be mocked this way, and we can actually work with AWS services and set up the responses and everything like with any other APIs. So we're checking that our API should be working, and our handler, our function, should work with the document with the DynamoDB table with the different ways. And I remember that somewhere here should be the test command. Yeah, here it is. So install everything. And test. Everything passed. That's cool. That's cool. Looks like code is working. I hope your code is also working. So you get 6 passes out of 6. You can see that we have created here the work with API gateway events and DynamoDB. We can use anything else, as was asked at the start. We can send any events to Lambda and check that everything is working. We can work with Lambda with any services, AWS services with Lambda, and mock the services. And it's quite a powerful way to understand that all the code is working, and we can test in the same repository using the same tools for Lambda and for our infrastructure. And that is actually cool. And let's set up the integration tests. It's a bit more interesting. Installing all the dependencies. Creating the fixture. Yep. What is going on here? Here is the class for our tests. So we will get all the tests covered with mocks and with the created data for them. And what this data is good for creating predictable data sets and actually tests that are not flaky and that will work right from your local machine. So this is a fixture, and let's see what's actual tests. Taiwo, could you please elaborate what test you mean? In test. I believe you missed the step of installing the dependencies. Let me return to the previous step. With the unit test and see what the dependencies we need. Yeah. At the bottom of the page, you will need to install all the dependencies. Just copy this install and paste to the command line. And you will see that everything should pass. I see. I think let me return to unit tests and this is it. Have you actually created the function in API users? It should be something like this. I think yes, you should have. It's integration. That's probably maybe this part of changing the chest config is missed. Or something else. I'm not sure. Let's see. Test from testing the users. I think. I see only one problem that can be here. Either you don't have this Source API users, or you're trying to start the tests from not from the root. Probably something from the root. Try to go to all the Lambda functions and tests and try to install everything, I think. Probably it's not about this model. Probably it's about library DynamoDB, but I'm not sure. You could do everything all right. I think I can come up with anything. Honestly, it's something that it's really strange. Okay. I think, yeah, it's better to find something on the page. No, not at all. Not at all. But okay, where we were. We added the fixtures, and as I remember, we added also a test. And then this quite important thing, we have to add the env.json to /test/integration. It's a new file, env.json with our stack name. The code is completely public. You can find it by the link on workshops.aws, as I remember. You can find all the workshops materials, even when this event is finished, here, and find all the code, all the materials, everything will be there. So so feel free to use. And the stack name. I think, yeah. Let's do this thing, the last thing today. The stack name can be get from CloudFormation. Nah, no worries. And okay, Tyra, that's that's a nice one. Not here. I added the JSON to integration and added there the AWS Serverless Patterns stack name. And the last thing, I will add the user's test. Once again, I've already edited, but just to be sure. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool, Taiwo. Okay, let's try to run the test. It should fail just for the interest. No, it passed every test. Everything is working. So what is done here? We already created all the infrastructure, and the test takes all the information from our CloudFormation template and invokes our API gateway with different set of functions. So here, as you see, get all users, create user, get user, and update user. And admin user should be able to call get all users. And create everything, creates a couple of users, and then deletes them. Everything is complete on the real infrastructure. So this is our integration test. Unfortunately, I have to stop here. We already passed 2 hours timeline, a bit more than it. So I want to ask you to give us feedback, for this workshop. Thank you all for being here. I will really appreciate your feedback. And see you all in the next workshops. I hope there will be some, and if there will be a lot of feedback, I think we will change everything. At least we will read all of the comments, and we'll say thank you to everyone who leave the feedback. And I've already said, but thank you everyone for watching, and have a good time. Bye.